Kia ora, good afternoon everybody, and welcome to beautiful Lisbon in Portugal, where it's James reporting live to give you a book review. I've travelled 19,690 kilometres thanks to the wonders of modern jet travel for a 3-day work conference here. And for the first time, the course that we're on, Impact-Led Enterprises, has given me pause to consider the cost of my travel, not simply in financial terms, but also in global and environmental terms as well. There are 195 flags represented behind me, representing, of course, all of the nations of the world. And climate change will disproportionately impact all of those countries, some more than others. But what hope do we have? It's a rather doom and gloom sort of a picture. Well, I'm here today to share a few insights from my favourite book, Steven Pinker's Enlightenment Now, and uncover the reasons that I think we have reason to be hopeful in spite of the huge challenge that the whole planet faces. Kia ora, good afternoon. In a world burdened by the challenges of climate change, rising inequality and political unrest, it's easy to feel overwhelmed and despondent. I, for one, sometimes don't know which way to turn. The problem seems that big and insurmountable. Pinker's book, however, offers a data-driven perspective on the Enlightenment values of reason, science, and humanism, and how these can provide us with the tools we need to address these challenges and foster much-needed hope for the future. But before we dive into the impact of the Enlightenment values on our present situation, let's take a moment to understand the Enlightenment itself. The Enlightenment was an intellectual and philosophical movement that emerged in the 17th and 18th centuries in Europe. It represented a shift away from the prophecy of the church and the authority of the monarchies, focusing instead on the importance of reason, evidence, and individual liberties. This period saw great advancements in various fields like science, politics, and human rights, laying the foundations for modern democracy, scientific inquiry, and secularism. The values that arose from the Enlightenment, reason, science, and humanism, have been the driving force behind many of the extraordinary advancements in the past few centuries. From global literacy rates soaring from 12% in 1820 to 86% today, according to Our World in Data, the rapid decline in extreme poverty over the past few decades, according to research by Rosser and Ortiz-Ospina, the impact of these values seems pretty clear, as is evidenced by these graphs. Pinker proposes that by embracing these very same values, we can find hope and inspiration as we face the daunting challenges of climate change. Firstly, the power of reason allows us to critically analyse our current situation, identify the issues that we're all facing, and devise rational solutions. Rational inquiry has led to the development of the groundbreaking climate change models that enable us to understand the implications of climate change and inform policies to mitigate its effects. As Pinker states in his book, knowledge is a means to solving the problems, and the more problems that we solve, the better off we are. Science, as the second pillar of the Enlightenment, has been central to the progress humans have made in understanding and addressing climate change. By advancing renewable technologies like solar and wind power, we've been able to reduce our reliance on fossil fuels and transition towards a more sustainable energy future. In fact, some experts believe that we may have in fact reached peak fossil fuel consumption, as reported by Ritchie and Rosser in their work in Our World in Data. And the growth of renewable energy is a testament to the power of this scientific innovation. The third cornerstone is humanism of the Enlightenment, and this emphasizes the value of potential of every individual and the part that each person has to play. This philosophy can inspire collective action and empower communities to tackle the challenges of climate change. By fostering a sense of shared responsibility, humanism can bring us together to create a more sustainable and equitable world for all. To illustrate the impact of these Enlightenment values, let's consider some of the recent climate change progress data. According to the International Energy Agency, global carbon dioxide emissions have dropped by around 6% in 2020. Now, it's fairly obvious that this reduction is largely due in 2020 to the COVID-19 pandemic and associated global lockdowns. but it may also indicate that efforts to transition towards cleaner energy sources are beginning to have a tangible effect. You can take that with a grain of salt. It is important to acknowledge that Enlightenment Now does have its critics, and I do my best to be critical of some of the views that it holds. One specific criticism that I hold is that Pinker may in fact downplay the severity of these ongoing issues like climate change by focusing too much on the positive aspects of progress. Hindsight is always 20/20, and as we discuss, I'll discuss in the next section, using convincing storytelling in an eloquent writing style can lead the reader into an optimistic sense of ignorance. The data and statements made in the book still need to be substantiated for credibility and to cut through potential window dressing and greenwashing. However, I think Pinker's overall message remains relevant and powerful. By embracing the values of the Enlightenment, we can find hope in the face of adversity and work together to build a better world. Practical reasons why I like this book. I like this Enlightenment Now book because it demonstrates Pinker's ability to synthesize a wealth of research and data from various sources, making the book an informative and enlightening journey. I appreciated how he showcased empirical evidence on a wide range of topics, from global health and education to democracy to human rights. This helped me to understand the broader context of our world's progress while grounding his arguments in facts using charts and graphs. Another reason why I felt hopeful lies in the engaging writing style employed by Pinker himself. He eloquently balances rigorous presentation of data with vivid storytelling, making complex topics accessible and enjoyable. As a reader, I was captivated by his articulate prose, which effectively conveyed the importance of Enlightenment values and instilled in me a sense of agency to drive positive change in the world. As humans face overwhelming realities of climate change, I encourage you to remember the words of Pinker in the book itself. We will never have a perfect world, but it is not romantic or naive to work towards a better one. Let's take this message to heart, embrace the values of the Enlightenment, and work collectively to create a world where hope, progress, and sustainability are not just aspirations, but are attainable realities. So here we are, back in New Zealand, currently in Taylor's Mistake. So should I feel guilty about my global jaunt to Lisbon, leaving a large carbon footprint in my wake? Reflecting on the lessons from Enlightenment Now allowed me to recognise that while acknowledging our individual impact is essential, it's also crucial to maintain hope and work towards a better future. Tim, I'm sure you'll like this one as an optimist. That's not to say that hope alone will save us, because that would be naive. But by embracing the values of enlightenment, reason, science, and humanism, we can strive to make informed choices, support advancement in clean technologies, and contribute to the collective effort to combat climate change together. My trip to Lisbon not only served as a reminder of the importance of being mindful of our environmental impact, but also as an opportunity to appreciate the progress that we've already made and to remain hopeful for the sustainable innovations that the future does hold for us. In this way, I think we can I can certainly transform my guilt about the travel into a powerful force for change and create a world where hope, progress, and sustainability become the norm rather than the exception. So, if you're looking for a book that will both inform and captivate you while providing reasons to be hopeful about the future, I highly recommend giving Enlightenment Now by Steven Pinker a read.